and garden stores.
Oh, really?
Brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1476, Feb 4, 2025. 51 degrees on this day just 20 years ago in 2005. And it was 28 below in the covered wagon days of 1886.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. There is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper
This
of
has got to
common
go.
sense.
No.
Joe Souchere.
Joe, it's so awesome. John's is the best. I love John's.
Well, Rookie's shirt is Joe and Pat's face from the 1990s.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Regarding Kristi Noem's cowboy hat, I believe I'm being, Tim is admonishing me, and maybe he's not. I mentioned her appearance on Meet the Press.
Yep.
And I thought how fetching she looked, and she wore a cowboy hat.
I'll say.
And possibly people thought I was being critical of that. I was not at all. I was quite smitten.
Is he taking issue with the fact that you thought this was just hey, let's get her done up for this one appearance?
I think it's a bit theatrical, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. But he writes, Kristi Noem grew up on a ranch near Castlewood, South Dakota. Her father was killed in a farm accident when she was 23, and she took over running the family ranch.
Wow.
Noem expanded that ranch by adding a hunting lodge and still owns and operates it today. The ranch ethic is a big part of her life. During her 6 years as governor, she often wore a cowboy hat or a baseball cap.
Va-va-voom.
After Noem resigned last week as lieutenant governor, Lieutenant Governor Larry Roden was sworn in as the new governor. Like Noem, he is a lifelong rancher who still operates the ranch where he was born and raised. He, too, is often seen wearing a cowboy hat. 10% of the South Dakota legislators are ranchers or farmers. Virtually all members of the legislature hold real jobs because their legislative salary is $13,436 a year. South Dakota law limits their salary to 1/5 of the state's median household income. That means they get a raise commensurate with the citizens they represent, not by legislative fiat. The legislative session is much shorter than Minnesota's, and representatives are expected to work a real job for the other 4/5 of the year. My God, does that sound wonderful?
Wow. A lot of fractions in that email.
I'm ignoring those. And
Okay.
Just,
all right.
Just
I'll do the same.
Embracing the larger love there.
All right. I'll do the same because I have a number of questions about those fractions.
Well, doesn't that email right there with the fractions, doesn't that speak about your ads, essentially, for Sioux Falls?
Apparently it does. Sure. Wow. And we have adult children here still pouting and crying and won't go to work. And we're paying, I think it's, we've hit about $200,000 so far.
I think we're closer to 3.
Yeah, and
Hauser had a deal
we're
on
paying them, South Dakota. We're paying our DFL legislators to not go to work. Oh my, what a difference. What a difference, Matt.
Yeah, this is not real.
You're back, I see.
Yeah.
Speaking
¿Cómo
of,
estás? ¿Estoy bien?
speaking of our legislators,
Sí.
don't start talking that way to me.
But I have a key.
A key to what?
A key to success.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah. Our DFLers are not reporting to work. And they're lying about it, but what the hell? Who cares? Black Entrepreneurs Day is normally a celebratory day at the Capitol. But yesterday it turned into a day of counter-protest as small business owners and lawmakers voiced concern over President Trump's rollback of DEI policies. We'll get to the point I prefer to focus on. If you're already a black business owner and you're showing up at the Capitol or rally, why is DEI a problem for you? The day was created to celebrate and provide resources for black businesses, but instead unified and concerned voices spoke out, saying this is a tough time to be a minority business owner. Members of the state's People of Color and Indigenous Caucus said Minnesota is going to be a last line of defense against diversity policies being rolled back. Donald Trump's words about immigrants and diversity, equity, and inclusion are a divisive dog whistle to right-wing social media and podcasts, said DFL Senator Zainab Mohamed. Okay. And Jay Green, owner of North Star Limo, said, right now, the way things are, I'm surprised this is going on, so I'm coming down here in good faith, hoping that something might be positive for my business. So I may be able to get a grant to help my business. Why should you get a grant any more than anybody else?
Right.
DFL leaders, including Walls, joined the chorus at the rally. Okay. I'm just going to name it for what it is. That's not DEI, that's good business people, Walls said. I'm not sure either me or Walls knew what he just meant there. Okay, but black business owners and black entrepreneurs, what was missing yesterday when you went to the Capitol? You went to the Capitol for Black Recognition Day. What's it called?
Black
Entrepreneurs Day. You went. What was missing? Black men and women who are business owners and operators. What was missing? The very people who pretend to champion you. The very people that pretend to champion you and make you believe that you couldn't succeed without them. Were they there? They're not there. They don't give a bleep about you. They don't give a bleep about your neighbor. They have joined the third rail club, and that's what they're worried about. They're not worried about your black business. If they were, they would have been there to talk to you. It's all a scam.
Yeah.
The DFL has done nothing for you. Nothing. And DEI is not the answer. All DEI does is make you less than. And so you show up yesterday and you're all fired up and you want to be angry at Trump with his DEI messaging. Where are the people that you wanted to meet? Where were they? They weren't there. They're at home collecting money for not working.
I thought they were locked out.
They're not locked out.
Oh, but that's what Melissa Hortman said.
I know, but Melissa Hortman is lying.
Oh, that's
She don't tell the truth.
I'm sympathetic to the black entrepreneurs who might have wanted to, rub elbows with some representatives and maybe figure out a way to get some dough or some recognition. But
Did you read out loud?
they ain't there.
Did I hear you read the quote from Jay Green, the owner of North Star Limo?
Yeah, I read the quote from him. Jay wants to get a grant.
Well, what if Jay Blue, a white guy, owner of East Star Limo,
Right.
needs a grant?
Right.
But he's a cracker, so he doesn't.
Well, we don't know. We don't know much
Us.
about Jay Green. If anyone on the staff would care to look that up, it's
Jay
called
Green, heavy limo?
It's called North Star Limo.
Yeah.
Right now, the way things are, I'm surprised this is going on. Well, I don't know what he means by things, and I don't know what surprises him about what's going on. Was he surprised that the DFLers who pretend to care about him were not there? But he said, so I'm coming down here in good faith, hoping that something might be positive for my business, so I may be able to get a grant to help my business. I don't know.
Well, don't all owners, despite their color, then deserve a grant to
What
help?
about Shay Cab? What? Shay Cab's a private driver. What if she needs a grant for her Escalade?
Maybe
I don't know who that is.
Maybe
Shay Cab?
Maybe he believes that DEI initiatives are there to possibly provide him with things like grants. I don't know that to be a fact, but look it up just for the hell of it.
Not much information on the North Star Limo
Is there a
website.
phone number for Jay?
Contact us. Yes.
Okay, call him.
While I wasn't paying attention to you, did you read out loud the Republican representative Jim Nash, who did show up at their rally?
Republican rally, Republican rep Jim Nash did speak at the rally, and while he did not talk about DEI changes, he said GOP lawmakers are there and ready to help black minority businesses.
So the people they hate showed up and said, hey, we're ready to help.
What can I do for you?
Oopsie.
The fraudulent nature of the DFL should become terribly obvious with each increasing day.
Yep.
These people don't give a bleep about you black entrepreneurs. They don't give a bleep about white entrepreneurs. They care about themselves. And they're hiding behind this BS about power sharing. Well, you'd have power sharing if you'd get there and work and talk about it. Let's go here. It'd be something to work with.
I don't see anything on North Star Limo, but I am seeing something for Set It There Limo.
Yeah. Set it there.
Set it there.
Right. Don't put that on my wall.
So
They-
I just had to look at that this morning, and I was a little bemused that, well, wait a minute now. Black small business owners rally at Minnesota Capitol. But the focus of this story, this happens to be a CBS story, Channel 4.
Okay, yeah.
The focus of it is black small business owners rally at Minnesota Capitol amid Trump's DEI rollbacks. That wasn't the focus here.
No.
You idiots. The focus was the black entrepreneurs and business owners show up at the Capitol to talk to the representatives who pretend to care about them, and they're not there. This wasn't a DEI meeting.
But remember, Joe, the truth doesn't really matter, does it?
Esme Murphy wrote that, but maybe Esme doesn't write the headlines. Esme.
What was the seminar? Black.
It was Black Entrepreneurs Day. It's an annual thing. You go there and, hey, I got a new, it's like a Shark Tank,
Right.
only, it's public money. I don't know what it is. But what I do know is that it's a day when DFL legislators would pretend to be terribly concerned.
I wonder if they tried to run Jim Nash out of the place, or if they actually talked to him. It's
Now-
just the irony is just killing me, Such.
Now, are any of the black entrepreneurs going to be honest enough to stop and say, I heard what they said on GL, and that happens to be the truth. We came down here in good faith to discuss our entrepreneurship, and the very people we constantly vote for, the same people we put in office, they're not even here. They've been at home for a month getting paid to do nothing, and here we are. What, are you going to open your eyes, people? Would you open your eyes to the reality of this? Would you open your eyes to the way your children are treated in schools? Would you open your eyes to the immorality of this DEI, absolute B as in B, S as in S? Because once you open your eyes, you'll shoot ahead in the world. All this does is hold you back. Right. Relying on these idiots who are at home getting paid, relying on them is holding you back. Ignore them. It's just mind-boggling that you buy this nonsense.
You could say
showed
that.
up, they ain't there.
Ain't seen them.
You could say that about every part and every department in government, both local, statewide, and national. Don't go to the government to help you out. That's the last people you want on your side. Seriously.
Man, oh man. I got a Feeding Our Future scandal note.
Really?
Well, I think it's germane. I think it's in keeping with what we're discussing. From Shelley, the daycare lady. Mm-hmm. Hi, Joe and the boys. It's your friendly Gumption County daycare lady here, and I was listening to your show Monday about the food fraud, which you already know just gets me going. But as I was feeding my own daycare children today, who are all legit, I started to think about one co-defendant and his 6,000 meals a day. She's about to do something we never did. We should have. It's wonderful what she's about to do.
The math.
Yeah, I started to think about one co-defendant and his 6,000 meals a day. In order for me to feed 8, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Let's just say he was remotely telling the truth. Well, he isn't. At 1 minute per child, it would take 100 hours to serve 6,000 children. If he was a superhero and could feed a child in 30 seconds, it still would take 50 hours and so forth, down to only 10 seconds per person at 16.6 hours. Which means no one was steering this ship, and that with my knowledge of what Amy Bach's job entailed, absolutely no way, not a chance, now or ever, that she not only knew what was going on, but was paid handsomely for it. However, allegedly, I will add.
Right.
And the people she sent the forms to for reimbursement knew too. It's absolutely impossible. Again, even during the pandemic, every other provider that served meals to children were watched. Our reports had to be corrected. We even had Zoom calls from each of our Feeding Our Future sponsors that made us show them children by name and the food we already sent to the DHS for anyone who worked here. To hear what they did and the lack of oversight blows my mind. Heads should be rolled all the way to the top, with Heather Mueller being charged as well. Yeah, but she left when she got out of there in time, I guess, because she went to Walsey and said, I can't be on the hook.
I got to get out of here. I got to get out of Dodge.
Always pushing back, even though it's usually behind a swing. Gumption County daycare lady Shelley. Well, she gave us a new wrinkle. I never stopped to consider the time it would have taken to feed 6,000 kids.
That's true. The logistics of getting the food, prepping the food, getting it out there.
Well, imagine you're at a wedding with 120 people.
No, you don't even have to go that far, Joe. Yeah. Imagine you're in high school.
Yeah.
This is school lunch. It's 2 hours long.
Minnesotans, God love you and God love us, but we are really, really being taken to the cleaners here by this Walz administration. It's a failure. It's a folly. It's corrupt, and it appears not to be ending. He has yet to take any responsibility, and it's very evident that he won't. You black entrepreneurs want to speak up? Yeah. We'll go down to the Capitol for Black Entrepreneurship Day. Wait, they're not there?
We ain't there.
The DFL is not there? That's right. They've been at home for a month pouting because they don't have all the power. So they've been getting paid, though. You're working your butt off at your black business to pay your taxes, and those taxes money are going to the very people who claim to pretend they love you. They're there to help you. No, they're not. They're not there.
Isn't it going to be great to envision what the Walz campaign ads for a third term are going to be? We crack down on fraud in the state of Minnesota.
They're all frauds. You're all frauds, DFLers.
Yeah, they're all going to be
You're
claiming
all frauds. You're not there. You're not there to help the people you pretend to care about.
Joe, obviously you didn't read that CBS story close enough. According to that story, and according to a Minnesota senator, you're the problem. A podcast was mentioned.
Where?
You
Where?
are the
I
problem.
gotta see that. Where
It's in the CBS story. Look, I already deleted mine.
I got it here.
It's right there in the first couple of
Esme,
paragraphs.
take a shot at you?
So we do know there was at least one DFL senator there.
I don't see anything about a podcast.
Oh, God, I got rid of the story. I should have kept it
Well, I
up.
have the Channel 4 story.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking
Black
at.
small business owners rally at Minnesota Capitol amid Trump's DEI rollbacks. It's an
thought there was
Esme
a
story.
quote
Right.
that you read actually that said amplified or something,
I think
etc. by
something about a
podcasts.
dog whistle.
Yeah.
Oh, the dog whistle part.
Yeah,
Let me get to the dog whistle part.
yeah. By the way,
Here it is. You're right.
Yeah,
Donald Trump's words about immigrants and diversity, equity, and inclusion are a divisive, or is it divisive? I've never known. Are a divisive dog whistle to right-wing social media and podcasts.
Yeah, I'm
Said
pretty sure he was
DFL Senator Zainab Mohammed.
pretty sure he was talking about Joe Souchere.
I bet they weren't. I bet they were not. I bet they have never listened to us. I bet they don't know of us.
Our buddy Donna, Mrs. Master Chief, on YouTube said, "Hey, 2021 called. They want the constant dog whistle accusations back."
Yeah.
That is an old term.
I don't think Zayab is talking about us. I would find it hard to believe he's ever listened to us. I'm serious. But it wasn't a DEI gathering. It was a black entrepreneurship gathering, and the people you believe care about you weren't there. They're getting paid to stay at home. Garage door guys can't get away with that.
No.
You show up. You get a call at Precision Door from a guy whose door went out on him. They're racing a truck out there like an ambulance. Let's go here. We got a garage door down. Let's repair it. They got models for every budget of new doors, too, in case you need a new door. But I'm talking about Precision Door. They serve western Wisconsin, the entire metro area. You need a garage door guy. These guys have become the favorites of GLers. Precision Door. Put this in your telephone contacts. As soon as I see it, I'm going to have you put this number in your telephone contacts. 612-263-6985. If you do need a new door, the on-site consultation is free, of course. You don't bring the garage to them. And right now, a great offer. If you get a new door, Precision Door is going to throw in a free new opener with the purchase of a new insulated garage door. That might
Sounds like
be
a good plan.
That might be helpful. So call them, 612-263-6985, or if you prefer to go online, it's Precision Door MN, one word, precisiondoormn.com.
Souchere Show.
I'm probably due for a visit to run the numbers or make a payment, one or the other. North American Banking Company. I made the switch from my big national bank just about a year ago now. And I'm really glad that I decided to make the switch because every time I walk in, they want to take the time to get to know me, my family, and all of my financial needs. And they have 6 locations to serve you here in the Twin Cities: Roseville, 50th in France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. They offer all of the services as the other big national banks, whether you're looking to buy a home, finance a new home renovation project, or maybe get that new car that you've been dreaming about. My friends at North American Banking Company are going to be able to help you out. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. They are locally owned and operated. Here's why that's important. That means loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So this helps you business owners solve problems quickly and expand your business with confidence. They deal with numbers every single day, but you will never be one of them. So your first step can be checking them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. It's banking done differently. nabankco.com. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender. Joe?
Was I disruptive? I didn't mean to be.
I think
Were you having a seizure or something?
It's
Medical
Feb
incident?
4 today,
No,
right?
I wasn't.
I'm going to start doing mic infractions again for you and Rookie.
I did. I had to find a paper.
You now have one.
You're in the lead.
You'll recall
Down
that.
the stretch they come.
You'll recall last week we read a very interesting email from a guy named Tom Cullen,
Yes.
who said that he is beside himself as he looks at the lack of care the Minnesota Democrat House representatives have for the constituents of their districts, and he specifically referenced his 52B out Egan Way, or I think it's Egan Way, and his rep is Rebecca Vernig, who we didn't acknowledge at the time. We should have. Rebecca Vernig is the freeloader who got the taxpayers to pay for her lawsuit against a private employer and won, right? But she's now among those at home getting paid. She wasn't there to greet the black entrepreneurs. So Cullen did the smart thing. He said, I can't compel Bianca Vernig to do the job she was elected to do. I have called her office with no response. I've sent emails to the same end. So instead of just talking, I'm going to act. I have filed against Representative Vernig in Dakota County Conciliation Court. I'm asking for a return of the tax dollars I paid to the state of Minnesota in 2024. Clearly, my tax dollars are at risk as the state is infected by waste, fraud, and abuse at every level. Bianca Vernig, my basement-dwelling rep, is violating and neglecting her duties to me as my elected state rep by failing to appear on my behalf to represent my interests in ongoing meetings and sessions of the legislature. I am being taxed without representation, and I want my dollars off the table and returned to me before they buy a hotel in Somalia. I will have my day in court. I am risking $80 to file and my time. Remember, this is a guy who's in the electric wheelbarrow business. He's working while this Bianca Vernig, whoever the hell she is not only getting you to pay her legal fees, but she's at home now getting paid as a representative. Tom Bonnet weighs in. On Tuesday's podcast, this was last week, you read an email from a GLer in my congressional district, that would be Mr. Cullen, who plans to sue Representative Bianca Vernig for failing to report for work. During the segment, you mentioned that you know very little about Ms. Vernig. Perhaps I can shed some light.
Tommy.
I met with Representative Vernig at last year's Gun Owners Lobby Day, sponsored by the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. I want to be as polite as possible in my assessment of Ms. Vernig, since she has been polite to me, despite holding views antithetical to my own on every issue. But I am comfortable saying this. Representative Bianca Vernig is politically an empty vessel. Whether it was our meeting about gun rights or email communications to constituents or exchanges about her failure to show up for work, see emails below, Representative Vernig does not have a single original thought when it comes to the issues of the day. I'd like to suggest that the emailer suing Ms. Vernig go a step further and run against her next time around. A GLer would easily trounce Representative Vernig on the issues, though they would admittedly stand little chance of victory until Vernig's policies begin negatively impacting our district. While we're on the topic of the legislature, I'd like to make a suggestion when it comes to your coverage of Representative Lee Finke. I notice that you're always careful to use Finke's preferred pronouns. I'd like to remind you and everyone else who feels pressure to respect people's pronouns that it's easy to communicate without using pronouns at all. Whenever I speak about Lee Finke, I use Finke's name or refer to the representative. I will not refer to Finke as her, nor would I stoop to using him. It pains me to hear you refer to Finke as her, particularly after Finke sent volatile trans activists to the state capitol recently to confront GOP legislators. In my opinion, Lee Finke's actions absolve you and everyone else from showing undue deference to this embarrassment of a representative. Good luck, Tom. Okay, now, here's an email to her. Is this an email to Representative Verdict? Prudence dictates I let this go because it's clear you and I will never agree, but what keeps me going is waiting to be corrected if my perceptions of a situation are incorrect. Here's my understanding of the current situation in St. Paul. 1, Democrats ran a candidate who didn't live in the district. Number 2, votes in one district were disregarded. 3, Democrats, when faced with the prospect of not having a majority, stamp their feet, take their toys, and go home. Countless examples illustrate that when Democrats speak of a threat to democracy, rest assured they're threatening democracy. The pushback is amazing. The slightest threat that Minnesota might be restored to some semblance of fiscal and cultural normacy pushes you guys into the red alert status. I think that's true. But hey, you are clearly who our district wanted in office, so why do I even bother? My neighbors will have all our welcome here signs posted next to their home security signs without irony until they're tattered and weathered with age. They complain over the backyard fence about the rising cost of living and then vote for people who squandered a $17 to $18 billion budget surplus, handed billions to brazen fraudsters who fled overseas when exposed, and now have the gall to suggest taxes might go up to pay for their wretched excess. As our aw shucks governor and failed VP candidate said, we're just generous to a fault, right? Except to your own constituents. I don't get it. Maybe you can help me understand, but I doubt it. No need to respond. I've said my piece and we'll sleep easier tonight knowing you're in meetings for the people. Well, she fired back. Hello, Thomas. Again, we find ourselves in disagreement. Also, the work we do is not solely done at the Capitol. While we await legal interpretations in special elections that are only available to you, Bianca, I think Tom was trying to remind you that you don't live like the rest of us. While we await legal interpretations in special elections, I have been able to meet with constituents and advocates. Instead of short meetings back to back, we are able to have more in-depth conversations. And I've been able to tour sites I might not have been able to otherwise. What, you go to the zoo?
Yeah, right.
What? Not only I don't think waiting until after the special elections so all Minnesota can have representation is unreasonable. Finally, what is happening at the Capitol is a nonviolent legislative coup, which I will not be part of. I will defend democracy. Well, lady, you're so full of S that you can hardly walk. This is ridiculous. You're not defending anything. And then Bonnet fires back. The Democrats don't have a majority. Get back to work or resign. The gall to posture while so many people are living paycheck to paycheck. Your party is an embarrassment. They are an embarrassment. They're fraudulent people. And if you black entrepreneurs don't know that by now, I can't help you.
That was from Thomas?
Yep. Back
52?
and forth to Bianca.
Thomas, I love the quote, or I'm going to quote you or paraphrase you. All are welcome signs right next to their security system signs.
That's a good one.
That was brilliant, Thomas. We want more emails from you, sir.
And Walsey's come through. Walsey has announced Shireen Gandhi will serve as the temporary commissioner for the Department of Human Services, taking over for Jody Harpstead, who fled upon the discovery of new frauds. Oh, God. Gandhi started working for DHS in 2017. She was appointed in 2022 as the DHS Deputy Commissioner for Agency Effectiveness.
Wow.
How'd that work out?
Yeah.
I am grateful to Shireen Gandhi for stepping up to lead the Department of Human Services, said Walls. Gandhi has a wealth of experience in how to deal with fraud. No, I just put that in there.
See, that's not
Gandhi
nice.
has a wealth of experience in healthcare, budget, finance, and continuous improvement initiatives. They love to speak in gibberish, don't they?
Yeah.
Ed has been a champion for our children and families. As temporary commissioner, she is well positioned to leverage her skills and knowledge to ensure a seamless transfer of leadership.
Okay.
She takes over while the feds are investigating allegations that youth autism centers abused a DHS-administered program to defraud millions in Medicaid payment. And we also have the newly discovered child care fraud. So the new Jody Harpstead is somebody named Shireen Gandhi.
Was that a press release you were reading?
This was a 5 Eyewitness News piece.
Okay. I looked her up on DHS, Minnesota Governor, mn.gov/DHS/media/blah, blah, 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 blah. I want you to tell me what this means.
Okay.
Explain this to me.
I will.
She led the creation of a new compliance infrastructure and oversight program to improve operations and compliance with federal laws, regulations, and rules.
Huh?
Do what now?
She didn't do anything.
No, that's not true.
Maybe, maybe not.
Rook, help me. She is the one, Gandhi, that said, make me one with everything.
No, that was the Dalai Lama, not Mahatma Gandhi.
Gotcha.
Read it again, Kenny. But watch my hand. No, watch my hand because I want to.
Just tell me to stop.
I'll just say stop.
Yeah.
I'll just say stop.
She led the creation of a new compliance infrastructure.
Stop. She led the creation of a new compliance infrastructure.
Sure.
That must mean some new paperwork.
Can I use ChatGPT to decipher this?
You may, but let us keep talking.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kenny.
An oversight program to improve operation
There's been no oversight.
and compliance with federal laws, regulations, and rules. And here's another one. She led and continues to champion agency-wide process improvement initiatives to strengthen the internal controls of DHS.
Kenny, give me that first sentence when Joe made you stop, and I'm going to enter it to ChatGPT to see how it explains it.
She led the creation of a new compliance infrastructure.
Led the creation of a new compliance infrastructure.
Oh, sweet Moses.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. She's typing away here.
ChatGPT?
Yeah, GPT.
Whatever the hell it is.
And I got to use my computer.
Why are
first.
we using that? Just for our amusement?
Well, because we got to figure out what the S does this mean.
All right.
Joe, are you ready?
Yep.
Leading the creation of a
No, speak more clearly. I couldn't hear you.
Leading the creation of a new compliance infrastructure means overseeing the development and implementation of a system or framework that ensures an organization complies with relevant laws, regulations, industry standards, and internal policies. It involves setting up processes, policies, tools, and strategies that help the organization meet legal and regulatory requirements, manage risks, and maintain ethical standards. Key elements of this responsibility might include, by the way, this is about 9 pages long.
Well, we don't need to read much
and it
more.
did that in about 8 seconds.
Okay.
But nothing they said has been accomplished.
Here, if our guy in Egan, Tom, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that has the business with the powered wheelbarrows.
So that's Tom Cullen. Yeah.
I think Tom would call this, as a business owner, he would call this dealing with red tape bullshit.
Yep.
But I have to say, the person that wrote what I read there on the DPS page, or the DHS page, I'm sorry, that's brilliant writing.
It's good stuff.
How do you put those words together? You are brilliant, my friend.
You know what that person's going to graduate to? A seeker of grant money.
Yep.
You're right. That's the kind of writer you need to get money from the government.
I bet, right? You remember you all talked me out of it, which was wise. But during COVID, I was going to submit the letter from the town of Garage Logic.
Because we'd be on trial right
we
now.
have a staff of 5, and we need $5 million. And I'm going to bet, I continue to bet you any amount of money we would have gotten it.
Yep.
I continue to believe that here's how screwed up Minnesota is. I could do the same thing right now. I could say the Garage Logic Daycare Center on McLaren Street in downtown Garage Logic is seeking reimbursement for the 4,700 meals we fed our children yesterday.
But we're smart enough,
they would send me the money.
And we're smart enough to give them a weird, 4762.
Yeah.
We're not giving them a round number.
And I swear to you, these idiots would send the money.
Yep. Where do I send the check?
Rook came up with the idea of F that word. big complicated word.
He
Rook,
doesn't like complicated words.
I
No,
think,
keep it
Matthew, you should definitely branch out to whole paragraphs or sentences so you could say F that sentence.
Yeah, F that
Delete
paragraph.
that whole thing. We're just not going to pretend we didn't hear it.
Why don't we take a time out
Strike
and
it
come
from the
back with
records.
our own newsman?
But first, guess what's
Bunga,
back?
bunga.
The North American Banking Company Minnesota Golf Show.
Hey now.
Tickets are on sale right now. This year's show runs Friday, February 21st through
you.
Sunday, February 23rd at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Compliments of TwinCitiesGolf.com. Each ticket purchase includes 10 free greens passes if you purchase online.
That's where I get stuff. Is at the golf show.
I do like walking around
I
the
get
golf
my
show.
gloves at the golf show.
Shirts, golf shirts.
Yeah.
I got that sweet Hazeltine hooded sweatshirt at the golf show years ago. By the way, that 10 free greens fee passes, that's a value of $350.
Whoa.
Your electronic ticket will include a web link to redeem the free green fee passes. More information, by the way, can be found at the mngolfshow.com website. Garage Logic will be there on Friday, February 21st at noon as we do the podcast live.
What?
This year's show ambassador is none other than Minnesota Vikings Hall of Famer John Randall.
I see him passing through the airport quite often. He is a wonderful, outgoing gentleman.
And I can tell GLers, if you've ever wanted to meet the Rook, this would be the place to do it because there's a lot of available seats to watch the show.
Okay, gotcha.
Lot
I
of
got you
seats.
on that one.
So come on down, hang out with us, and get your tickets online right now at mngolfshow.com. That's mngolfshow.com.
They're just wonderful.
Piling up, aren't they?
I love them.
You know, the trends that are out these days are incredible. What's trending at Welter?
Jesus. Is it the season for trends?
No, I don't do 'tis the season all the time, but trending things are very important. What's trending at Welter? I have no idea. I haven't talked to Rick in a while, so I don't know what's trending. I don't know.
This is really
I
bad.
Welter
I
Heating.
love that he
I don't
doesn't know
what's
where
trending.
he's
You
going.
have no
I have
idea
no
where
idea
you're
where
going.
I'm going.
He
But you know
just
what I'm going to do?
starts.
I'm going to look back and check my lines back here. And they're a little bit crooked. They're not
A little.
straight.
Not only are
Yes.
your lines crooked, your grass is on
I'm
fire.
all over the board. That's why I don't work on air conditioning units and furnace units and heating units. Welter Heating does because they're certified. I'm not certified.
You should do a ride along.
I'm certified
With the belt
I'm never
on?
getting out of here. I'm freaking nuts. You know?
Can you imagine Ding Dong showing up at somebody's house with the belt
Yes.
on?
Where's your heater?
Yeah,
What do you
where's
got?
she, what do
Can you
got?
finish this?
Let me see the filter. Come on, turn it around and you put it in backwards.
Did you try rebooting it?
Yeah, reboot it, the system. If all else fails and I do show up, call the pros at Welter. They are certified. And all jokes aside, when they get down to business, they're serious about it. They have a lot of fun in their ads, and they want you to remember their name. WelterHeating.com is the website. And they're local. A person answers the phone, 612-825-6867 during business hours. If you're calling after, they do have 24/7 emergency services. But the Welter family are big garage logicians. They've got 4 generations and over 116 years of experience. That's serious. So if you need some work done on that heating unit or closing it down for the winter, or you're looking forward to that air conditioning system working properly this year, give them a call, or better yet, go to welterheating.com. Heat up your shelter this winter with the fine folks from Ray and Welter.
May I ask you something?
Go, Joe! Rick
You-
doesn't...
Out of the blue, you began this
Yeah.
with the word trends.
What's trending?
What? You
don't
might as
know.
well have said cabbage or
Yes.
or shirt.
Let me try
Because
this ad again.
it didn't go anywhere. I mean, you just had trends in
Try
your head.
cabbage.
Okay.
Use cabbage. Here we go.
Cabbage. What do you do with it sometimes? You don't know. What's trending with cabbage?
No.
I have no idea.
Does your furnace smell like cabbage is burning?
Does your furnace smell like cabbage is burning? Then call Welter or go to welterheating.com.
Here's John Height.
Thank you, John. Height.
Thank you, Joe. That whole thing reminded me, when I finish a book, I look up stuff about the author. And lately I've run into a lot of authors, especially who write mysteries, who say, yeah, I don't know where it's going when I start. I just sit down and I start writing. I don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of what that ad reminded
I feel
me
like
of.
one of those best-selling authors right now. I share that.
Was that your
commodity.
philosophy, Mr. Mayor?
No, I always try to figure out where I was
He
going.
was kind of panicked. He didn't know where I was going. But
Gotcha.
I did.
This news update brought to you by North American Banking Company. Republican leaders announcing today recall petitions for every single House DFL member as Democrats continue their boycott at the Minnesota Capitol for a third straight week. According to Republicans, the recall process is officially underway, saying they're collecting signatures across the state as House Democrats collect salaries despite not showing up for work. The GOP says they want to get down to business, while Democrats say they won't show up until a power-sharing agreement is in place.
Oh, you freeloading frauds.
A special election still needs to take place to decide the balance of power. Last month, the Minnesota Supreme Court sided with the DFL, saying 68 members are needed to do official business. Currently, there are only 67 Republican members, so the House remains at a standstill. There is another session scheduled for this afternoon at 3:30. Over in the Senate, Doran Clark, the winner of last week's Senate District 60 special election, took the oath of office yesterday, returning a one-seat majority to the DFL. After the ceremony, Democrats voted to end a temporary power-sharing agreement with Republicans that was reached after the death of Senator Kerry Dietzig in December. Senator Aaron Murphy, a DFLer from St. Paul, was then elevated to majority leader. Republican Senate Minority Leader Mark Johnson had hoped Democrats would at least extend the power-sharing temporarily to show Minnesotans they can work together, saying, "I'm afraid what's going to happen today when this power-sharing agreement ends, we're going to go right back into the partisanship we've been seeing over the past 2 years." A jury seated yesterday in the trial of the alleged ringleader of the scheme that federal prosecutors say exploited the COVID-19 pandemic to steal $250 million from a program meant to feed children. They had set aside 4 days. They thought it might take 4 days to choose the jury, but it took only one. Amy Bach, the founder of Feeding Our Future, the group that prosecutors say was at the heart of this plot, is one of 70 defendants charged. Her trial now is scheduled to start next Monday. 4 Republican members of Minnesota's congressional delegation sent a letter to Governor Walz asking for the records and documents of 62 active Department of Human Services investigations into the Child Care Assistance Program. Reps Tom Emmer, Paul Stauber, Michelle Fischbach, and Brad Finstead requested the information after a report from 5 Eyewitness News about the investigations. A DHS spokesperson issued the following statement defending the agency's oversight, saying people who steal and misuse public dollars intended to help low-income families to pay for child care should be held accountable to the full extent of the law. Star Tribune reporting someone shot and killed a woman whose body was left on abandoned residential property in Jordan, according to officials. 46-year-old Tabitha Renee Justice was shot once in the head before police found her on the afternoon of January 28th in the parcel in the 200 block of Quaker Avenue. Justice had been reported missing to law enforcement shortly before her body was found. There have been no arrests announced in connection with what officials are calling a homicide. Police said they are receiving tips about the case. An Amber Alert has been issued for a missing pregnant teen in Wisconsin who is believed to be with a 40-year-old man. According to Wisconsin Amber Alert, Sophia Martha Franklin of Beaver Dam was last seen Sunday at her residence at 9 p.m. Franklin, who is 3 months pregnant, is believed to be with 40-year-old Gary F. Day, the father of her unborn child. There was a no-contact order for Day and Franklin. Day was last seen Monday at his home around 7:50 in the morning. Wisconsin Amber Alert said the two might be traveling in a 2014 black Buick LaCrosse using an Arkansas license plate number BBR20L. Franklin described as being 5'9", weighing 186 pounds with brown hair and blue eyes. Day is 5'7", weighing 165 pounds with blonde hair and green eyes.
John, might we turn to Rook for a moment?
Yes.
In the middle of your newscast, you mentioned Doran Clark was sworn in.
Yes.
And that gives the DFL a Senate majority of 1. Mm-hmm. Rook, what have you found out about him? He's North Minneapolis.
Born in 1977, grew up on a sheep farm near Eota, Minnesota. Attended Hamlin, graduating with degrees in religion and economics in 2000. He began a campaign to represent Ward 1 in the Minneapolis City Council in 2009, but dropped out before candidate filing. Before his election, he worked in the ethics department at Medtronic and served a 2-year term as chair of the Senate District 60 DFL in 2022. Let's see. He just won. Okay. He was sworn in, and the Senate reorganized under DFL leadership. He started the session on the education, finance, higher education, judiciary, and public safety, housing, and homeless prevention committees.
All right.
He is married to Molly and has 2 daughters. Long distance runner who has competed in multiple marathons and coaches cross country at Yinghua Academy.
All right.
Matthew, did you say Eota?
Iota.
Eota? All right. That's east of Rochester.
Did I pronounce that properly?
I
it's
think you
Iota.
did.
Okay.
Iota, Eota.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know what, Rook?
yeah,
Close
yeah.
enough.
Close enough.
Yeah.
What's the trend?
Yeah.
Why don't
Cabbage.
we take a little break here? Chris, I hope you can do as a good intro to your ad as Rook did
Try to
his
be
last one.
professional. Try to
Yeah,
let,
is there
try
a
to make
trend?
people think.
What are you? Who are you speaking for?
Do you have
right
a
now?
goal in mind?
Yeah.
You know,
Who are you
Cabbage.
speaking for?
I'm speaking for my friends at Fast Photo Film.
Well, there's
What's
a trend
trendy
now
What's trendy?
in photography
All right.
to have those available. Pictures, things
swing
like
and a
that.
miss.
Bringing a mess on that softball.
Class-winning, technology and stuff.
Technology and
Yeah, you got her.
Here's the deal. I actually was on their website this morning because I am going to be utilizing them pretty soon to digitize some photos. Because here's the deal. Every family has that box of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't like boxes of stuff.
Yeah.
Red dots.
So the deal is you want to digitize them for safekeeping that generations can then enjoy. FastPhotoFilm.com comes to the rescue. Photo is spelled with an F, by the way. A Bloomington, Minnesota company. Your old-fashioned photo lab that
Can
offers...
they get rid of those red dots in your eyes? On the camera, they got the red
They
dots. I
can,
hate
but you
red
have to
dots.
throw them out of the window as you drive down
Okay.
Highway 55,
Yes, it is.
bitching about the bike lanes for the 950th time this
Yes,
week.
sir.
Fast Photo Film offers all sorts of photo lab processing, including film processing, photo scanning, photo restoration, by the way, if you've got some damaged photos, custom greeting cards for any occasion, photo books, passport photos for any country by appointment, and more. If you've got a photo idea, they are going to be able to help you. It's the best time of the year to dust off that old photo box of photographs and receive 50% off their pro scan prices. The more photos you have, the greater the savings. Every family's got them, so why not utilize FastPhotoFilm.com to help you and your family out, like I said, for generations to enjoy. Once again, it's FastPhotoFilm.com. You can also give them a call directly at 952-835-1815. Please do me a favor and mention, or maybe not, that you heard about them right here on the Garage Logic podcast.
Joe Souchere.
Here's the band on Garage Logic Podcast.
In national and international news, President Trump's 25% tariffs on goods imported from Mexico and Canada are now paused for at least 30 days. After the president hit last-minute border security deals with both countries, the tariffs initially set to take effect today would have ignited a North American trade war with consequences potentially passed on to consumers in all countries. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum agreed to send about 10,000 troops yesterday each to the border, as we told you about yesterday. Trudeau also said he would carry out a previously announced $1.3 billion border plan, appoint a fentanyl czar, and launch a joint strike force to tackle organized crime, fentanyl trafficking, and money laundering. Negotiations between the U.S. and its neighbors are expected to continue in the next 30 days. The Canadian agreement has nothing new in it. They had announced in December all of that would happen. There is still a 10% tariff on Chinese imports still taking effect today. Mexico, Canada, and China accounted for 42% of total U.S. imports last year, or about $1 trillion in goods.
Isn't Claudia Sheinbaum an odd name for a Mexican president?
Yes.
Sounds like she should be a borough boss in the Bronx or
right.
something.
Yes.
Claudia Sheinbaum.
There was a funny video that surfaced yesterday of, I believe it was a liquor store manager or whatever, removing all of the bottles of wine that had American connections to it from
But you don't have to now.
from the store shelves, saying, in protest of America. And then the caption just read, "This idiot does realize that these have already been purchased."
Right.
Meaning, okay, way to make a stand, dumbass, but
Right.
you already bought the stuff.
That's like guys who burn jerseys. That always killed me. You bought the jersey
Right.
already. What are you
Or
burning it?
donated. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
exactly. Update to a story we had yesterday. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was named acting director of the U.S. Agency for International Development, stepping in as the organization faces increasing calls for its closure by the Department of Government Efficiency led by Elon Musk. The roughly $40 billion per year agency oversees the majority of U.S. foreign aid, funding efforts ranging from economic development to humanitarian help. The organization, authorized and created in 1961 by John F. Kennedy as a means to consolidate foreign aid under one roof. As of yesterday afternoon, reports suggested U.S. aid would be folded into the State Department with an unspecified reduction in workforce while retaining its humanitarian mission. Meanwhile, apprehension from watchdogs and political opponents as the Treasury Department has given Elon Musk and representatives of Doge access to the vast federal payment system responsible for handling trillions of dollars in government expenditures. Senate Democrats in a news conference on Monday said they were pulling, in their words, the fire alarm to warn about the dangers posed by Doge and Elon Musk's access to Treasury's payment system. Senator Patty Murray, the top Democrat on the Senate Appropriations Committee, warned that Musk could use the access to target political enemies of business rivals. The demand for access to the payment system reportedly caused such a rift inside the Treasury Department that the career official who previously oversaw it, David Librick, was placed on administrative leave last week after he resisted granting Musk and his government efficiency team access to the database.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Hold up.
Wait a minute. Be careful what you wish for. Here's a guy, Musk, and he's followed around now by 5 young engineers that he's plucked out of somewhere. And they won the storage condo wars. So they're opening the door and saying, well, I'm going to keep this and not keep that. What right does Musk have as a private citizen who is not a government official and not elected? What right does he have to see the financial information of the United States? What prevents him from securing knowledge about his competitors? Why is that fair?
Good question.
Now, for everybody who wants to write me a nasty email, I don't doubt for a moment that there's corruption to be found and a waste is beyond our comprehension. But why do you hand the keys to the Treasury Department to a guy who doesn't even hold office?
Who should be in charge there?
Well, they had a guy in charge. He's now been placed on
Double secret?
double secret probation by an unelected guy.
Was he any good at the job?
I have no idea.
Was he making inroads?
I have no idea.
Were we hearing about fraud and overspending and the like?
Well, that's neither here nor there for my larger point, which is, does the president get to bring in a buddy and say, go over to the Treasury Department and see what the hell they got?
Well, this isn't exactly unprecedented. This is right. This has happened before with different presidents.
I'm unaware of that.
No, I mean assigning roles is, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Every single.
I'm unaware of a president ever picking a guy out of the crowd and say, go over to the Treasury Department and you have access to everything. I'm unaware of that. If that's happened.
But how about, can't we take the stance of let's just wait and see what happens here? I mean, he's been in office for what, 17 days?
I'm not sure it's a stance I want to take. It's establishing one hell of a precedent if it's a stance I want to take.
But the system is broken, correct?
Well, I don't know that the Treasury Department itself is broken. That's where the records are of who we pay money to.
Correct.
And you might discover we're paying money to things we shouldn't be paying money to.
Which was discovered with the USAID yesterday.
I agree, and that's fine. But you're also giving the power of discovery to a guy who did nothing more than buy his way into the inner circle of Trump, and now he has the keys to the Treasury Department. That's not a precedent I want to establish.
Well, there's all sorts of different departments that are headed by people that are unelected.
Though that's true. That's true. I guess they would have come up through the ranks of the bureaucratic process and whatever. I'm sorry. It just strikes me as odd that Musk gets to
So are you saying
Say to
he
Mom, I'll be back for dinner. In the meantime, I'm going over to the Treasury Department and see what I can find.
right.
does he live in his mom's basement?
I don't know.
What was I going to say? Oh, so you think he should be approved by the House and Senate then, like all these other folks are?
In order to get access to the folders?
Yeah.
Folders. Like there's a bunch of
Yeah, the Manila,
boom, boom, boom.
filing cabinet.
Yeah.
I guess I'd like something more formal than just.
Okay, let me throw this at you. Earlier in the show, you said, I think you said this on the show, maybe you said it during the break for the council, but you had said, here in Minnesota, we've discovered more than $600 million in fraud.
Yep.
Imagine what it's like at Washington's level.
Right.
Well, isn't that his job?
I certainly don't deny that fraud will be discovered.
And
That's
wouldn't
not my point.
And wouldn't you want somebody in there that's not on the third rail,
Exactly.
elected, government, slimy, greasy weasel?
If I may back
Yes.
up Joe on this one, one of his original points was he now has access. Remember, this man
his competitors,
has
yeah.
billions of dollars worth of business with the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Is
Elon
he going to
Musk.
self-report
Yeah.
what he's gotten?
And
Oh,
he
now
can
that's
see
a question.
everything anybody bids against him, he can look
He
at
now
whatever
knows
he
what the
wants.
number is.
Whatever he
Yeah.
wants.
How did Pelosi get so goddamn rich while she was in office?
Crooked stock dealing.
Yeah, so they're all,
Well, let me piss you off further.
yeah, do it.
Why not?
I love
Get it
being
going.
mad. Love it.
I don't approve RFK, and I don't approve Kash Patel.
What do you got against Patel?
Other than that, he's insane. That's what I would go with.
Have you always been against RFK? I thought for sure that you
No, I
were
don't trust him. I think he's a crackpot. I don't trust him.
okay.
Okay, but here's the thing.
I don't trust a guy who kept a sex diary so vile that it caused his wife to commit suicide.
That's pretty bad. Yeah. You know what? I'm against that as well.
Can't defend that one.
But here's the thing. If you look at it there is no perfect candidate, right?
right. We're talking about people who aren't candidates. Okay. Oh no, I thought you meant yeah.
But there's no perfect person. No one out there has a squeaky clean track record.
For health, you probably could find somebody that has a health background.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I'm laughing because I find that comment laughable. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What
That
comment?
You can't find any yours. That you
John,
can't find
anybody that's
better
willing-
than-
Well, how about somebody with a health
John,
background?
you
Hey,
see, you
I know.
No, everyone shut up. John, you
Oh, here
heard
we go.
something and you're inferring something completely different. What I said
What am I
was
inferring?
anybody willing to do the job. We have said this for years. The people that are willing to do or that are going to be qualified and don't want the freaking job. My point is there is no perfect candidate for any of these roles. Is this person going to do a good job? Then fine. I don't care about the background.
The answer
Fine.
is no.
You three stick your head up your ass and keep pretending that this is going to change without
So I
making
says to the
significant
pirate,
change.
I
And
says,
don't you think they won't?
I'm just
I'm going
saying.
to write a
Hey,
letter.
Yeah.
I have an idea.
Oddly enough, my
I have an
story-
idea. Fauci doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
He's trustworthy.
let's
Let's
let
get
him-
him in there.
See,
Now
Con the entire country
We've
for
reached
4 years.
asinine comments at this point.
Yeah,
and
I'm
if
doing
we
my
want to
part.
get into it, we can now get into it.
I've kept my
Okay.
mouth shut, I think. I'm still trying to think what's trending.
You're trying to
I want to
figure out
know
what
who
the
part of
trend
the
is.
three is. Chris, am I
Jesus.
the three?
No,
or-
I'm letting you on Team Reavers. You're on Team. You can be on
My
Team
next
Reavers.
Oh.
story was, let's
Lucky
proceed
me.
to the next story then, shall we? The Senate Finance Committee advancing Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination this morning, moving forward with his confirmation to lead the Department of Health and Human Services after a pair of fiery hearings last week that left his approval on shaky ground. It was, of course, a 14-13 party line vote. Though the bulk of Republicans on the committee were expected to support advancing Kennedy's nomination, Senator Bill Cassidy, a Louisiana Republican and medical doctor, expressed concern over the president's pick for HHS secretary during RFK Jr.'s confirmation hearings. Cassidy said last week he had been struggling with Kennedy's nomination because he fears RFK Jr., who has raised doubts about vaccines in the past, could undermine faith in vaccines. Meanwhile, Samoa's top health official denouncing as a complete lie remarks that Kennedy Jr. made during his bid to become the U.S. Health Secretary, rejecting his claim that some who died in that country's 2019 measles epidemic didn't have the disease. Kennedy said during tense U.S. Senate hearings last week, "We don't know what was killing them." While Samoa Director General of Health Dr. Alec Ekaroma said that's a total fabrication. U.S. senators grilled Kennedy last week over the Samoa trip, accusing him of downplaying his role in the epidemic. The outbreak devastated the island, killing 83 people from measles in a population of 200,000. Vaccination rates historically low because of poor public health management and the 2018 deaths of 2 babies whose vaccines were incorrectly prepared. The government suspended vaccinations for 10 months before the outbreak, the period when Kennedy visited. His trip organized and paid for by a Samoan anti-vaccine influencer, according to Kennedy in a 2021 blog post.
Here's what I would do with Kennedy if I was Trump.
Let's go.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think this country could benefit from a director of Froot Loops, a guy who once a month, seriously, once a month would have a fireside chat with America on how poorly we eat. I'm being deadly serious. How poorly we eat. He seems to have made that his avocation. He doesn't know any more about food than I do, but he studies it, and you might be able to learn something from him. So once a month, the director of Froot Loops comes out, and he sits by the fire, and he has some products with him. And he said, here's Pringles. You're taking your life in your hands, and here's why. Okay. But I wouldn't make him the king of all the healthcare stuff.
That is such a dumb idea that I am now actually sexually attracted to you.
Yeah. I guess that's what's trending.
It's a good idea.
And actually, as John read that last story,
America is fighting a horrible obesity problem. America is fighting a declining lifespan problem. We eat horribly. You want to bring out the director of Froot Loops once a month, I'll tune in and listen.
You know, actually, when John was reading that last news story, I'm convinced. You and John, Joe, you guys have convinced me. You're right. What would have been great is under a Harris and Walz administration, there wouldn't be a Department of Government Efficiency. In fact, we would have just put Oprah Winfrey in charge of whatever, and maybe Beyonce. She'd have probably had a role.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they
whatsoever.
couldn't do better than the nominations, but that's just me.
Whoa!
Do you get the feeling? Do you get the feeling that both parties have us right where they want us?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thoroughly confused.
And just arguing nonsense with each other. Just
Oh, that's America now.
sure is.
Could have put the first trans, queer, lesbian person in charge of military, whatever. It would have been great. It would have been great.
Why do you think social media is full of Chinese and Russian posts that basically pit both sides against each other? Why do you think that is?
My social media,
Elon
John.
Musk, he hates America.
My social media is all
what
kitty
else?
videos, kitties and doggies, puppies.
Yeah, mine is.
I'm
pretty
working
much
on my director of Froot Loops because I think I got $1 million idea there.
Director of Froot Loops.
Yeah. Well, I use Froot Loops because they have food dye in them and
They're
stuff.
nutty.
So
We're
we could
supposed to be
have like
worried
a
about
food czar.
A
and
food
just
czar.
make that their
He doesn't
avocation.
get to
Just
he
that.
doesn't get to tell companies they can't make something, but he gets to come out and have like a Fred Rogers thing. He's got the blackboard and he's got cans of stuff, and he tells you this is this stuff isn't bad, but here you eat this, you're gonna die in 6
you're
months.
done. You're gone.
You're-
I am just so blown away by the irony that you, Joe, who's always been against government overspending in bulk, doesn't like the person in charge of finding overspending.
It's not that I don't like the person in charge.
I understand.
I'm not sure you do.
Okay, give it to me again.
Let's try this again.
Here we go.
I think it's an incredible precedent, to my knowledge, never before established in this country. It clearly falls outside of constitutional realm that a guy who happens to have contributed $290 million to the presidential campaign in favor of Trump gets to be a guy who suddenly has access to every important financial number in the country, including those of his competitors. I think if I'm angry, or if I'm concerned, I would think his competitors would be outraged. That why should he have this access and I don't have this access?
So by competitors, define that for me.
Oh, I suppose he's going to know what Bezos has spent on his rocket toys. And
I see it as more boring than that. He knows what Chevrolet is paying for a certain gizmo that they put in their car and what he's paying for that same gizmo. You know what I mean? I see it as a little more mundane than that.
Yeah, here's the problem. We've all grown to believe with justification that we have such a lousy government that we're all in agreement with justification that it needs cleaning. It needs to be cleansed.
Okay.
Where we're going to argue is about how we go about that cleansing process.
Do we start with the top?
Which is a very governmental thing to do, by the way. Sit and argue about it.
An analogy, I think, and maybe you guys will hate this analogy, but I think all five of us think the fact that George Soros uses all of his money to influence politics and thought in the U.S. is a bad thing.
Yes.
Well, I think without $290 million, you don't have Elon Musk as part of this administration influencing thought and politics. I think they're analogous. To me, they are anyway. Maybe they're not to you guys. But I think if you're arguing against George Soros, you got to argue against Elon Musk.
Well, I don't disagree with what you just said, John, but I think George Soros has ill intent. I do not think Elon Musk does.
I don't think Musk hates the country.
Yeah, and what if I think Elon Musk does and George Soros doesn't?
Yeah.
So then you're back,
Therein
to
lies
the
the
50-50.
problem.
Yeah.
And you got the same, so it's hypocritical of either one of us to say,
But no, because George Soros
I
was
think
dead
Soros is
set,
Dr. Evil.
dead set on just mayhem and destruction in this country.
See, okay, what we're talking about now is the two people.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Let's not talk about the two people. Let's talk about the means of getting where they're at. And why is it for one okay, but not for the other?
Because, again, one has evil and mayhem on their minds.
There's plenty of people, Chris, in America who think Elon Musk has evil intent.
I think the vast majority of the people that dislike Elon Musk is because of his fame and wealth, not because of what his intentions are.
I think you got a 50-50 thing going, just like you do with every other thing in America. So then the question becomes, is it hypocritical to say one is, yes, one can do it and one can't?
Who should the person be, and what should that person's qualifications be?
Well, I don't think anybody should be unless they're appointed or elected.
There's a way to do it.
Well, what do you look for, though, in that person? That's my question.
Well, there's a way to do it. You have a Republican House and a Republican Senate. So let's say you want to get rid of U.S. aid. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, have a Republican create a bill, pass it, send it to Trump's desk, and sign it. People, the elected representatives of the people, just took care of it. Now, here's the problem with that.
Yeah, right.
Here's the problem with that. Trump's in a hurry. He doesn't want to go through the system because he's in a hurry. And, he realizes, again, with justification, that there's so much wrong that he's in a hurry he's thinking, I can't get all this done. We got to hustle. We got to really tear through this because there's so much wrong. So I don't think he's going to go the bill route. Let's create a bill, discuss it, pass it, send it to me. I don't think he has the time or the patience to go through that.
But as John mentioned, he's doing basically everything he said he was going to do.
I understand that.
I don't know if that's a good example because that was an executive order from Kennedy, and can't presidents get rid of those? Can them?
Well, that's a good point. Maybe you don't need a bill to undo an executive order.
If I read this right, I think because it's budgeted by Congress, you have to go through Congress. I read that wrong.
Yeah. It was more fun when we were arguing.
If you'd like to send an email to the show.
Oh, believe me right now, YouTube comments are on fire. Folks, we're just having a fun conversation. That's all.
Yeah.
We live in confusing times.
What do we do with this?
What are the trends?
What are we going to have? What's going to happen in this country?
Matthew, cabbage.
Let's do it.
shirt.
Let's boil it.
Yeah. All right, take your time out there.
Boiled cabbage.
We can.
Thanks, John.
But now is a good time to remind everybody about the GLer of the week. Yes, you could be the GLer of the week that we announce every single Friday right here on the show. All you have to do is have an annual town council membership, and you are eligible. If you're already an annual town council member, then no worries. You're already able to be selected. So find out more and sign up online right now at garagelogic.com to be the GLer of the week.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
Dear Joe,
Good start.
it is with sadness that I write to inform you that we lost another great living American. Joseph Louis Joe Coupet was a triple Purple Heart combat wounded Vietnam vet. He was also awarded the Silver Star for Valor. I could tell you all about what a wonderful person he was, but I'd rather tell you my favorite of his stories.
Oh, good.
Joe was drafted into the Army at 18 and shipped out to Vietnam. When he first arrived, the duty sergeant who was checking him in took one look at him and exclaimed, "How in the hell tall are you?" Joe replied, 6'6", sir." The sergeant looked down at his clipboard, shook his head, and matter-of-factly said, "Yeah, you're not going to last long." Joe ended up being a tank commander.
Whoa.
Not long after his arrival, he was rolling along in his tank, standing up at the open hatch, when his tank ran over a landmine. He was blown out of the hatch and landed on his backside 15 feet away. He managed to roll onto his knees, and as he described it, spit out a bunch of blood and teeth. It would be weeks before he reached a MASH unit, where they confirmed that he'd also fractured several ribs and broken his tailbone.
Oh, my God.
This incident did not merit a Purple Heart because the Army considered it as having not drawn blood. However, it taught Joe an important lesson. The Viet Cong liked to plant landmines in the road. A month or two later, Joe was moving his tanks along when they came upon a rubber tree plantation. Having learned his lesson, he decided to put the largest of his tanks, a 65-ton behemoth, at the front of the line and instructed those operating it to plow a pathway through the trees for everybody else to follow. They were moving along, making short work of the trees, when his CO came over the radio. "Coupet, what the hell are you doing? Stop running over those trees and get back on the road." I got to turn the page. Joe decided to pretend his radio was cutting out. You're breaking up, sir. I heard run over the trees. Copy that. The CEO yelled, "Damn it, Cooper, don't you know we have to pay the French $300 for every one of those trees you run over? Get back on the road." The plantation was owned by Michelin, and the U.S. government had agreed to compensate them for any damage we caused.
Oh.
Joe replied, "Yes, sir, we're running over the trees." The CIO, who was becoming increasingly agitated, barked, "Damn it, Cooper, we have to pay the frogs for every one of them trees you run over. Get your ass back on the road." Joe switched off his radio and tossed it down into the tank. "Sorry, sir, my radio's broken." For the rest of his life, he refused to own a car that had Michelin tires on it. He would always have them swapped out before purchasing a new vehicle, citing, "Michelin tried to get me killed." Joe passed away on December 8th, just this past December 20, due to complications from knee surgery. He was a great person, wanted the guy, and the only comfort we take in his passing that he is now reunited with his beloved wife, Jackie. Thanks, Rebecca. Boy, that sounds like a hell of a guy, doesn't it? Yeah. How could a 6'6" guy end up in a tank?
Well, it sounds like he spent a lot of time outside of it.
Yeah.
With the hatch open.
Standing
so
up through it.
Right. Yeah. Like lurch.
On the front page of the Pioneer Press today, we learned that a motorcycle manufactured in St. Paul, Minnesota in 1915 has just set the world record at auction. A 1.32 million. It's called a Cyclone, and it was manufactured by Jorns, Joerns, Jorns Motor Manufacturing Company. I believe they left St. Paul in 1917. And the story doesn't tell us where Jorns Motor Manufacturing was located. It would have been neat to know if that building still stands.
Or where
It's a
it was.
gorgeous bike. It's a V-twin. It seems to be ahead of its time. Its advertising copy advertised it as the fastest bike available. And for 1915, it has some modern affectations that are rather surprising.
But didn't you say it was a single speed?
Single speed transmission. So I guess she would whine pretty good if you got her up to 30.
In
or
my
40.
mind, that means it had a centrifugal primary
like
clutch.
a snowmobile.
Yeah.
Hey,
but I'm
man.
looking at a picture of it, and it does have a sprocket in the rear, so it is chain driven.
What does that mean? Single would just have one speed?
Yeah.
One
Like your scooter.
One gear.
Don't electric
Oh,
cars
okay.
just have one gear, one speed?
Well, most cars. Oh, no, don't they have a? I don't
They
know,
have a
Joe.
transmission that shifts gears.
They have to because they go fast.
No, they're electric
Well, snowmobiles
motors.
go fast too, and you just turn the throttle and just keep going.
We're out of our lane right now.
Yep.
Well, anyway, it's in the Pioneer Press today. It's a beautiful bike. It's yellow. It's been restored, so it was not found in barn condition. It was owned by a famous motorcycle collector in L.A. Who passed away recently. Apparently, his whole collection was auctioned off. The previous record was a 1908 Harley Davidson for, I believe, less than $1 million. So this
935,000.
yeah.
So what do you do with that bike? You just tell your friends, you don't ride that around.
I probably would not,
We call that a trailer queen,
Yeah.
but a V twin in 1915.
but it sounds neat.
Well, yeah, that's what my point is. Would you start
I think you started for the boys. Yeah.
Straight pipe.
Hell, I'd drive it now that you mention it.
just around I don't mean take a trip to Nova Scotia.
Here's
you just
the
drive
deal.
around the block.
Here's the way I would look at it. If you can afford to pay $1.32 million for this bike, you can afford to drive it. You can afford to ride it.
Okay. You want to make sure
And
it's
then let the chips fall where they may. You can afford to ride it.
Well, if you had a brother-in-law that paid $1.3 million for a motorcycle, wouldn't you go, Jim?
Why
what do you-
why a brother-in-law?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of like that factor that keeps you grounded. You know, I don't know anybody that could pay $1.3 million for a motorcycle.
I think what he's trying to say is it's trendy for brothers.
I'll give you one to
I
look
do
up.
know many people who could, and only thing I can tell you is that they're not going to.
What stops them? They're grounded factor.
They're not motorcycle aficionados. They have other interests.
Like what?
Well, there are people that buy art. There are people that probably invest in guitar collections.
They like riding the jump seat on commercial airlines.
I'd buy an airline.
Here's one to look up for tomorrow, Joe. Recently, 400 Mopars were found, and they're all for sale.
Where?
Wow.
You'll have to look it up and get back to us tomorrow. That's your assignment
tease.
for tomorrow.
That's a tease, Olson.
Oh, are they at is it some hoarder
You'll have to
situation?
look it up.
Some
I'm not
lousy
giving any
hoarder, and
details
there's
away.
They're rusted through.
Is this
and-
something Jimmy Francis is involved in?
God, what a bust that was. I got to take it to this great collection. And I was polite.
Elmer's Farm.
Whatever. Yeah, I was polite because everybody around me was taking it seriously. And so I didn't say anything, but I was thinking to myself, this is a bunch of BS. This is all hoarding crap.
Yeah.
Everything was shot.
Look, they got a carburetor.
Gee. Only because they come to us.
What is a carburetor?
All the way from the traveling Lymans in Lake Las Vegas, Nevada. It was on this day in history.
Four.
Well, actually, it was on this day in Minnesota history.
That's right.
On this day in 1803,
Feb 4.
the Reverend William T. Boutwell was born in Leidenboro, New Hampshire. In 1832, he accompanied Henry R. Schoolcraft on the trip, guided by the Ojibwe leader Oza Windib, that confirmed Lake Itasca as the source of the Mississippi River. Boutwell supplied the Latin words from which Schoolcraft named the lake: veritas, truth, and caput, head. Truth head? He also served as a missionary to the Ojibwe people in various Minnesota locations until 1847, when he moved to Stillwater, where he died on October 11, 1890.
Okay, Kenny.
Yeah.
Miigwech.
It was on this day,
Feb 4.
in 1893.
Long time ago.
Yep, Senator William B. Dean offered a resolution in the Minnesota Senate recommending that the wild lady slipper, or moccasin flower, be named the state flower. The resolution was later adopted by both Senate and House. Following the discovery that this species of lady slipper did not grow in Minnesota, a new resolution was adopted in 1902, changing the state flower to the pink and white lady slipper.
What was his name?
Senator William B. Dean.
And he was senator from Minnesota
Yeah?
because his one of his relatives started a sausage plant.
His brother, wasn't it? Jimmy?
Jimmy Dean.
James R. Dean.
Hello, I love my Jimmy Dean sausage.
Jimmy was a famous singer, you guys know, right? You're aware of that, right?
I am.
The
Truck
sausage
driving
guy?
songs,
I'm not
right?
sure
The,
these
the
idiots
sausage guy?
The sausage guy was a singer?
Remember Big John? Rook?
Big
John. Oh, he sang
That's,
that?
that's Jimmy Dean, the sausage
What
guy.
about the
yes.
actor? Was he a second cousin?
That's James Dean.
That's more proper than Jimmy. So you get confused at that family reunion. You Jimmy or you James? No, I'm the singer.
I brought the sausage.
Yeah. I brought the movies.
Finally, on this day,
Rookie, welcome back.
We got a great grandson named Howard. He's going to be a political analyst.
finally on this day,
When's the last time you had some Jimmy Dean sausage, Joe?
and I don't know, but I like it a lot.
I like it a
The
lot.
breakfast bowl, huh?
I like the patties.
We could lay
You
your
don't
food
pick a
out.
breakfast bowl. No, you got to make it separate.
I like a patty more than a link.
No, a nice fried
I
link.
like a
love
link.
links.
Crispy
I'm a
link.
link guy.
I killed the last of my Maker's Mark the other day.
Master's
with-
Maples.
Master's
You quit
Ma-
drinking
What
a
did I
while
say?
ago.
That's right. I quit drinking. Thanks, Chris. The syrup I poured on some Jimmy Dean link
Oh,
sausage.
sweet.
See, I'd go
So
with
good.
patties on Jimmy Dean. On this, finally on this
Are we
day.
still on?
What's your favorite James Dean movie?
Jesus God, does anybody care?
Out there?
1952, and on this day.
Yes, sir.
What day?
Today's February 4th.
In 1952, the Citizens League was formed in Minneapolis. An independent and nonpartisan organization, the league involved citizens in studying public issues and developing policy solutions at the local, metropolitan, and state levels. So the horse began to leave the barn as long ago as 1952. Because when you study public issues and develop policy solutions, what you're really doing is creating the new infrastructure for policy analysis, or whatever this Mahatma Gandhi is going to do for the
Let's go.
Department of Health or whatever the hell it is. We're doomed, people. This used to be one hell of a state.
It's almost like we could use somebody here to take over Minnesota government efficiency and maybe get rid of some
Let's
programs.
go here.
You
Yeah.
bastard Reavers.
And if you paid enough, you could probably get the gig.
That's true.
Yeah.
Matthew, I had a lawyer named John Dean, also worked for the
right.
greatest president to ever live.
No relation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not part of the family.
John says he's a famous singer. Rookie says the sausage guy.
Yeah. That's what I didn't know he sang Big John.
You're kidding, right?
Honest to God, I did not know that.
Well, what's one he might know? Maybe that Big
Well, I've
John.
heard
Big John's a
Well, Big John
I
was
just didn't know he was the
yeah.
guy.
No, but there's another one that was more popular than Big John.
John?
What am I thinking of?
Why did he start a sausage place?
He's hungry.
Before we go,
hungry.
one more question. Maybe John knows.
I gotta look this guy up. Jimmy Dean, what the hell?
John,
Sausage
maybe you
King.
know the answer to this. How long would Elon have to live in Minnesota before we could vote for him for governor?
That's a good question. I don't know any of the rules here.
I think it's 6 months.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, because isn't that essentially when Fry didn't live here that long before he joined the council, right? Didn't we talk about
I mean,
that?
governor.
Okay.
Is that poor twerp running again?
Sure is. His campaign started, what, a week ago?
He'll win. Walz will win. They'll all win, Joe.
Jimmy Dean will win.
Jimmy Dean was in the Air Force.
Okay.
Yes, he was. And
I don't see anything about
he had quite a few top 40 hits.
When did he start with the sausage is what I'm looking for.
That was later in his career, and I'm sure that he was
In
able...
1969, he founded the Jimmy Dean Sausage Company with his brother, Donnie Dean.
Matthew, don't you have to go to work and fire somebody?
Yeah, but but this is about food, so I'll be brief. The company did well in part because Dean's own humorous commercials. Later,
he took advantage of his position to name
why
recognition.
sausage?
The
for
company
the
was
sausage.
acquired in '84 by Consolidated Foods, later the Sara Lee Corporation, but he remained involved as a spokesman for
Chris?
the company.
Yeah.
Watch me for your cue. Thank you, GLers.
Oh, wait. There was a Rockford episode that absolutely ripped off the whole Jimmy Dean story.
It's right here.
Where this country music singer started a sausage company.
Turn his microphone off.
In
Turn it off.
1974, the show was sued by Jimmy Dean due to the fact that they made reference to a former singer owning a sausage company.
Yes.
No, it doesn't say that. Just kidding.
Tomorrow we're going to do Kramarczyk sausage.
Yes!
Tune in to tomorrow's episode.
Let's
hey,
go.
subscribe to the Garage Logic YouTube channel, because on the YouTube channel you can watch, if you want anyway, and argue if you want to anyway, with the show live every single day starting right around noon. It's fantastic, and thank you to all of you GLers who have already subscribed to the Garage Logic
Yes, sir.
YouTube channel. I'm not kidding. Mike Infractions are starting tomorrow.
Let's do it.
You got frat today?
Yes. Yep.